One of the main reasons people don't sew clothing as much as they used to is that they have a hard time getting patterns to fit. And it's harder to fit yourself if you don't have someone helping you. And although pattern fitting can be a very complex and sometimes difficult subject to tackle, I have a few easy suggestions for you that will go a long way to creating a good fit. The first important thing to say is that it's rare for a sewing pattern to fit perfectly. Patterns are drafted and graded to industry standards, and most people don't fit that industry standard. Everyone is a little or a lot different. So you will need to take your measurements and know what size pattern to use and how you compare to the standard to which that size pattern was drafted. A useful tutorial with a body measurement chart can be found at sewguide.com. After you've taken all your measurements and recorded them on your chart, you should compare them to the garment pattern you want to make. Most commercial patterns have the body measurements on the back of the chart and will also tell you which size you should make for your body measurements. The problem comes when your bust measurements are one size and your hip measurements indicate a different size. Here is a rule of thumb. It is much easier to select a pattern based on your upper body measurements and adjust your pattern for wider hips. Many patterns nowadays are multi-sized, and you can use one of those sizes for one part of your body and another size for a different part. My patterns typically include 8 different sizes in each pattern, although some of the earlier patterns have only 5 sizes and a few others have 10 sizes. When you use different sizes from a multi-size pattern, you will need to blend the different size lines. Here's one for the upper part, and we'll want to blend it to this larger part. And we can do that gradually by blending the two sizes in a smooth line. If you have a larger bust than any other part of your body, choose your pattern by the other parts and do a large bust adjustment for that part. You can find instructions for this online or in all fitting books. Another important thing to know is that the body measurements on your pattern to help you select the right size are not the same as the measurements across your pattern pieces. If they were, the garment you make from that pattern would fit you skin tight and there would be no extra for movement or style. These are added to a pattern to create a fitted style, a semi-fitted style, a loose-fitting style, or a very loose-fitting style. Here's a chart that will give you a general idea of how much ease is built into patterns for different styles. Another very useful thing to add to the equation is how you like your clothes to fit. Everyone has garments in the closet, no matter how worn or shabby, that fit the way they like. Measure those garments and record them. For example, these are ready-to-wear pants that fit me the way I like. So I'm going to measure down to what I know is my high hip measurement, which is 3 inches from the waist, and I've made a mark with a disappearing pen, so that mark will go away. It's air soluble. 3 inches down, and then measure from the center seam over to the side seam, and then write that measurement down, which is 9 3/4. Then we can measure the front part at the low hip or full hip measurement, which for me is 9 inches down from the waist. So from the center seam to the side seam, exactly the side seam, which is 10 3/4, and we'll write that down. Then we're going to do the same thing on the back. Measure down the 3 inches for the high hip measurement and measure from the side seam to the center back seam, which is 10 1/2 for the high hip, and the low hip at 9 inches down from the side seam to the center back is 11 3/4. Now remember, you've only measured half of the pants, so you have to add the front half of the high hip to the back half of the high hip, and that's 20 1/4, and then you have to double it to get the complete circumference of the pants, which would be 40 1/2. And you do the same thing with the full hip measurement. Add the back to the front and double it, and for that we have 47 inches. Now realize that what you're measuring here is not your body, it's how you want your clothes to fit. That's your body measurement plus the wearing ease that you like in a garment. And these measurements you can compare to your pattern, and you'll have a much better chance of getting a good fit. These clothes in your closet are a great resource to know what works for you. The next easy tip for fitting is to measure your pattern pieces. I'm measuring from center front line to the seam line. Double it for the front bust measurement. And you can measure the length you like. Then you can see how this pattern needs to be adjusted one way or the other to suit your needs. Finally, it's a very sound practice to make a muslin, or even a preliminary garment made of an inexpensive fabric that you would wear if it happened to turn out okay. Try it on, and if it needs adjusting, you can record those adjustments on your pattern before you cut into the final fabric. Choose the best size pattern for you. Use multi-size patterns where possible. Know the amount of ease you like best in different style garments that are flattering to your body. Measure your pattern. Make a muslin or a trial garment. Remember that even these simple steps, although they will take you a little time, are worth it. If you spend time to make a garment and it doesn't fit, you won't wear it, and you will have wasted both time and money. Invest in a few fitting habits. Of course, you can spend a lot of time really learning the fine points of fitting too, and it would be worth it. But try these simple steps first. They will take you a long way.